Welcome to the show, Dennis. A noble petition that many of our viewers will no doubt be behind. Can we start with that? What motivated you to do that, and how many people have signed so far, and how can people get involved?
Well, as soon as the announcement was made on Monday by the new Chancellor, I had hundreds of emails from our members expressing their disgust, if you like, at the shock decision to cancel the winter fuel payment for 10 million older people, which will plunge immediately millions of pensioners into fuel poverty this winter, and they'll have to choose between heating and eating. So the first thing we did was obviously to set up this petition, which has gained a lot of momentum. I think it's got 23,000 signatures now and growing fast all the time. So I hope your viewers will sign it on change.org and look up for Save the Winter Fuel Payment. So yes, that will certainly be a great help. I think Labour have made a major mistake here, and unless they reverse it, the decision is going to haunt them throughout the 5 years of their government, because older people have got long memories on these sorts of things, as we found with the triple lock during the last Parliament.
Dennis Reed, when you look back at some of the support that Rachel Reeves and others in the government have given to protecting the winter fuel payment historically, and now they're in power, hey presto, there's another U-turn. Could I also draw your attention, Dennis, to something else that leapt out at me yesterday, and something which I think has all the feelings of a backdoor dementia tax. You remember the dementia tax, the hated tax that Theresa May proposed to introduce, almost cost of the general election in 2017. Such was the violent backlash to that. And of course, this is about draining down on your savings and indeed your property to pay for long-term care. Now, that had been capped. The ultimate amount you'd have to pay by the Boris Johnson regime at £86,000. But Rachel Reeves announced the other day it will not be possible to take forward these charging reforms. Dennis Reed, does that say to you that people's life savings could now be drained down to pay for their social care?
Well, they already are being. There's thousands of people each year who have to sell their family homes in order to pay for their residential care if they've got dementia, and you're quite right to categorise it as a form of dementia tax. This was an equally reprehensible policy announcement by the Chancellor earlier this week, and it's going to really rebound on them again, because you're not going to be able to solve the problems in the NHS, waiting lists and so on, without sorting out social care first. Because so many people are in hospital because they haven't got proper social care at home. And unless that's dealt with, then they're going to have a real struggle to realise their promises on the NHS. So it's a short-term decision. Again, our members are really angry about this. We actually also have an older petition on the same site on exactly what you're saying. People should not have to sell their homes in order to pay for their astronomical social care costs.
Now, Dennis, of course, the Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, and the Labour Party would say we are so in the debt, in the burden of debt, £22 billion, the black hole, but it's actually £2.7 trillion in national debt, largely thanks to reckless spending during lockdowns and all the rest of it. So they would argue that we simply cannot afford this. But are you saying, Dennis Reed, that to rely on pensioners to drain their life savings, I mean, what message does that send out to those who work hard, who pay their taxes, who put money aside, have a nest egg to take care of themselves, and those on benefits, they don't have to worry. They get everything paid for themselves?
Well, the immediate reaction from our members was that why is the Chancellor targeting older people? Now, there may well be a case that the Chancellor wants to say about the legacy that has been left for them. But these are all political choices. And a political choice was made to give large pay increases to the public sector. Now, they may well be justifiable, but it was a political decision taken. Equally, a political decision was taken to reduce the income of 10 million pensioners. Now, that is not fair in our view, because pensioners can only fight back through things like petitions, as we're trying to do, whereas obviously the public sector workers have strong trade unions. And to pick on the most vulnerable, if you like, and those least able to fight back, is a rather cowardly attitude as far as we're concerned.
OK, thank you very much for joining us. Speaking words of wisdom there, Director of Silver Voices, Dennis Reed. Thank you very much for joining me here on GB News.